Hello everyone, and today I've got a really interesting artist to talk to. His name is Barry Page, and I met Barry through the exhibition at Rochester Cathedral, the Come Eat With Me exhibition. It's a tremendous exhibition that we've really enjoyed working in. So Barry, can you tell us, how did you start to become an artist? What is it that makes an artist, and did you always aspire to be an artist?
Well, I've always been interested in art, but I didn't really start seriously until after I'd retired. I was fortunate to retire early, and I literally packed up work on a Friday night and started a fine art degree on a Monday morning.
Wow.
Up until then, I'd only messed around a bit, really, doing pretty awful watercolours on holiday. But I'd always said to myself that at some stage I would be serious about it. And doing the sort of job that I did, which was full on, I knew that I needed a challenge after retirement, because otherwise I would have gone mad. So that I chose to get into art seriously.
Mm.
I think my passion for art was awakened when I was actually an engineering apprentice. I was in Whitechapel by Whitechapel Gallery on a very wet winter's day, and there was an exhibition on, and I really went in there at lunchtime to get out of the rain. And once inside, I was absolutely bowled over by the exhibition that was on, which was of Keith Vaughan's work. And from then on, my interest was piqued, and it's continued throughout my life. You know, I've always gone to the exhibitions in London, even though I wasn't practicing art myself.
Interesting. So when you retired then, did you have a sense of needing to learn and keep yourself active, or was it because you hadn't fulfilled that passion and that you had a passion for it?
I think it was both, really. I've always believed in lifelong learning. And I think when you stop learning, you're almost giving up on life. And if you think you have nothing to learn, then you're pretty arrogant. And I like to think I'm neither of those two things. Yes, I needed a challenge. I certainly needed a challenge, and certainly art seemed to be the thing that I was drawn to, and painting. So although I went and did the BA, I then did a postgraduate diploma and then a master's after that. And although I enjoyed all of them, it didn't actually show me the thing I really wanted to do, which was paint. I learned an awful lot about art history, art philosophy, and in fact, I got into art philosophy in a very big way. I really enjoyed it. I found it intriguing, but it wasn't teaching me to paint. So then I set out to build my own, what I've called my own apprenticeship, by attending workshops literally all over the place, going to America an awful lot because the art scene out there is so vibrant. And I would say that I've had the good fortune to have been tutored by some of what I would consider to be the modern masters today. They are really superb artists.
Yeah. So how long were you in America for then to do that? Was it
it was over a period of time. I went and came back and went and came back, sort of thing. And I went to the Art Students League in New York, which was where I studied for a short time with David Lafell and Sherry McGraw and Michael Siegel. And then I came back and I did some other stuff with Jeremy Lipkin and Michael Klein and so on at various workshops. And then I went to Scottsdale School of Art in Phoenix, Arizona, where I've done most of my time. And as a consequence of going to Scottsdale with their links, I've been able to exhibit some of my work in Scottsdale in the galleries in the town of Scottsdale.
Yes, how marvellous.
Yeah, it was. I fell on my feet really because on the very first night watching the demonstration by David Lafell, I met a bunch of people and we just hit it off and we became friends. And through them, I've been able to go and do all these other things.
It's often the way, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
How has your art, your painting developed from that time? What are you doing now? Because obviously your submission into this exhibition, this installation of the Come Eat With Me, is rather beautiful. So how did you create that? How did you come to that?
Well, the thing I learnt through doing the things I've just described is I've learnt about the language of painting. So many artists are very good draftsmen, very, very good draftsmen, but they tend then to draft out things and then fill in the colours and build in the colours, which is not the way I go about my art. I tend towards, you know, well, through what I've done, I've learnt the language of painting, which is mixing and using colour and value, edge work and the like, in order to create an image directly rather than drafting it out first and then filling in the spaces, which is fine. It's a perfectly legitimate way of painting, but it's not my way. So the one that we put into to this exhibition was done in that way, where Jane initially asked us to submit drawings, and I had to say to her, well, I don't work that way. I work directly into the painting, and I more sculpt my paintings than I do draft them. And in fact, at one stage when I was back doing the BA, I was doing a dual honours of painting and sculpture, because I find the two things fit together so well.
Yeah, it's interesting because it gives it that 3D effect quite well, doesn't it, when you manage the colours and paint that way?
Yes.
So, for the audience then, do you have any samples of your work that you're currently doing or producing, or that you particularly favour?
I've always got works on the go. I've got a dozen out in my. I'm fortunate to have a good studio at the back of my house, which I literally step out of my kitchen and into my studio, my man cave. I just can leave the mess out there. Yeah. And so I've always got plenty of work on the go. And what I don't want to do is find myself fixed into just doing one thing, landscape or just this or just that. So I've always do a variety of work, and I've always got four types of paintings going on at once: portrait, still life, landscape, and figurative.
Okay.
So I have some of those.
And are these commissions, or are these for your own pleasure and your own creation?
Mostly for my own pleasure. I am fortunate. I'm becoming fortunate that people are starting to ask me about my work, and I've not put myself out at all to promote my work for selling. Most of my work I've either given away, or if it's been somebody who's come with a friend who I don't know, someone who I don't know particularly well, and they say, I like this or I like that. You know, would you sell it, and how much? You say, well, make me an offer. And I find that people are pretty decent. They offer a decent sort of price, and I always accept what they offer. At the moment, I'm in a little exhibition that's going on in Ramsgate, which we do once a year, which Mike Sampson, who runs it, likes to hold it because he likes to do one exhibition which he calls affordable art. So he asks artists like me and Brian Homewood and John and so on to submit 3 works for less than £100. Okay. So some of the little still lifes I've been doing lately have gone into that exhibition, into the under 100 exhibition, which is ongoing at this moment in Ramsgate.
Oh, right. That's a good plug for them. So yes. we're actually in the beginnings of March. So I don't know, how long is it running for? there?
It's running for a month at York Street Gallery in Ramsgate.
And is this a yearly thing, an annual thing?
It's a yearly thing.
Yeah.
Mike Sampson likes to do this once a year because he wants to promote affordable art, and
Yeah.
and generate interest in art in the area locally.
Yeah, well, that's a great plug. So anybody who's interested who's watching this later will know there's an annual exhibition on down there, and they can go and find it.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah. So what have you got? Anything to show us?
Well, yes. I've just literally finished this portrait. It's one that I just
lovely.
done. It's
rather stunning. Oh, okay.
So,
and did she sit for you, or was that from a photograph?
Well, I tend to do both. What I tend to do is I would like to have 2 hours with the sitter. And then to pick up the colours and my feeling, try and pick up the essence of the person and pick up the colours, the skin tones, and then I take a few photographs. And then I map it all out, get my first cut on the painting from that, and then I do another sitting when I refine it, and then a final one. And usually the sittings last about 2 hours, and the rest I do fill in from the paintings, from photographs. But I don't use the photographs for colours and things like that, purely for the drawing and the slant of the eyes, or the turn of the mouth, or the way the muzzle fits, or because to get a likeness, one really has to understand the head structure and how the cheekbones fit, and how the brow ridge fits, and which way the eyes, because everybody's eyes, ears, nose is different, as we know. And if you don't, the only way to get a likeness is to understand the structure of their head.
Interesting, isn't it? It's amazing. I think some people think you're either talented and you can do it, or you aren't talented and you're just lucky. They don't. A lot of people don't realise the technical skills that go into art, and I think that's because of the great variety of art. You say that you like a variety of subjects. So, do you paint? Did you say you paint landscape?
Yeah. I've got one. Yes, I have got. This is one that I just finished off from. That's been sitting around in the studio for a while. I finished it off for the 100 exhibition, but didn't put it in the end. Which is one of my, little landscapes.
Oh, I like that. Yes.
Just
yes.
I'm done in the main.
Yeah.
And then
quite a small one, isn't it? That's a lot smaller than the other.
Oh yeah, I mean, for the exhibition, they tend to be smaller paintings. Then I've got a couple of still lifes here that I've done.
Oh yes, yes.
And there's that one, and then here's another one. So.
Oh, that's so delicate. Yes.
Yeah. So that's what That's what I do. I do a variety, and then I've got some figurative, which are more.
Yeah. And how did you find the Coming With Me exhibition at Rochester? And what was that like for you?
Well, I was flattered to be asked. Actually, somebody told me about it and said, would I be interested in doing something for it and helping out? And the way it was kind of described to me at the time, it was very much the latter, that I would be helping out. I hadn't appreciated from the way it was described to me that it was, initially I hadn't understood that it was, the scale and the quality of exhibition it proved to be.
Yeah, so, I think everybody was surprised. Yeah. Because until you're in the cathedral, I think the lighting of the cathedral was very profound in raising the experience.
Oh yes, the atmosphere was tremendous. I mean, the whole thing comes together, actually. The environment, the table itself, of course, which is magnificent.
Yeah.
And then the quality of the art. I mean, there there isn't a duffer in it. Everybody of the artists has really put on a superb show.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was lovely. Very well done. And the artists are all very nice, aren't they? It was
They're all lovely, yeah.
like
Lovely people that evening on the private views. I really enjoyed it.
And so had you used gold leaf before and worked on a round?
When I was, I'd never done anything on a round wall before. No. Had I done gold leaf before? Yes, but only when I was at art school, and it was one of the skills that I learnt. You know, how to do gold leaf in the traditional sense with rabbit skin glue and bowl, making a bowl and laying it all down and then burnishing it and so on. So yes, I had done it, but I hadn't done any from then till this, really. And I have to say, some of the gold leaf, well, in fact, all of the gold leaf was very good, but some of it was exquisite, I thought.
Some was outstanding. And there were two professional or full-time icon painters.
Yes.
And the picture of Christ was particularly immaculate.
Yes.
Very good. Yes, outstanding. So yes, it's a good exhibition, and I think you know that it's going to continue. It's being shown for a lot longer now, and also it's hopefully going to follow the table around the country, or at least a little bit.
Yeah, good. I mean, that's anything that's, you know, that spreads that sort of artistic, makes that sort of artistic demonstration, has to be applauded.
Yeah, yeah. And it certainly brought the children in as well. One of my friends brought a child who was just under 4 years old, absolutely enamored, and could see all the names of the apostles and related them to his school friends.
Right.
So on many levels, it was appealing to lots of different people.
Well, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful story, that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The children, I mean, if children are appreciating it at their level, how wonderful.
Well, he was eye level and he was touching the table, but he was remarking on the paintings and just amazed at well, as I was too, the variety of techniques, the variety of skills, imagination, the way that people related to what is basically a religious and belief subject. Because not everybody was a Christian or even spiritual. So the artists themselves brought their own gift to the celebration. It was wonderful. Yeah.
The particular challenge that Jane gave me was with Matthew Major. You know, she wanted me to get the expression of surprise into the face of, you know, when the announcement was that, you know, that Christ was going to be betrayed. And she wanted that look of surprise and shock, and this can't be. How can this be? And so that was a bit of a challenge, which give me a challenge. I love it.
You achieved it. You achieved it. It's outstanding look of shock and horror. What? No, it's very, very, very good assessment of your painting. That you created that emotion so well. So what's next for you then? Have you got plans for any future projects or exhibitions, or is there something that you really want to paint that you haven't painted yet?
Well, in the last 2 years, I've had exhibitions locally. This year, because of family circumstances, I decided not to, because it takes a lot of time putting an exhibition together. And actually involves running quite a bit of cost as well, of course, framing so expensive. So this year, because I've had other things going on, I decided to let it go. So I'm not having an exhibition this year. And I'm not going to the States for the first time. I usually go to the States to do the things that I was talking about earlier, about 3 times a year. But this year I've decided not to. But I don't know if you know, but there is a brush manufacturer, probably the world's biggest brush manufacturer, homemade brush manufacturer now, called Rosemary Brushes. And they've started running workshops in Yorkshire, It's called Yorkshire Art, and they're bringing American artists over to the UK to run workshops here. So I'm doing 3 this year. One with a fabulous figurative artist called Shane Wolfe, and if anyone, I mean, if people are interested should look him up. Shane Wolfe's work is phenomenal. Another one called Jeff Hine, who's a portrait artist, and again a different sort of portrait artist. And a third one is a landscape artist, Susan Clincher, and they are all here in Yorkshire, and so they're the big things I'm looking forward to this year.
Yeah, sometimes family takes over. I have interviewed an artist who had to put it on hold for many years while she was working, raising children and running a business. And our time comes, but that's part of life, isn't it? People are important and situations arise, but that burning desire inside doesn't go away, does it? No. So is there, before we close, is there a painting that you haven't done that you want to do? Is there something you still have ambition to achieve?
I think the area of my painting that is least strong is probably landscape painting. So I want to, and I haven't really sorted out what style of landscape painting I want to do. So I'm still finding my way with that. So the spring and the summer's coming up. So I like getting outside to paint. So this year, I think I'm going to concentrate on landscape painting and try and get that up to the level that I think I've achieved with the other styles of painting.
Oh, that sounds wonderful and very healing too, very relaxing to be out with nature. I don't know if you're a frustrated artist. Do you get annoyed with the art and have to push it on, or do you chill out and enjoy?
I don't get frustrated and throw things around, but I do get very depressed sometimes at it. You know, I'm never going to crack this. I'm wasting my time here. You know, when it doesn't work, it can be, and you put a lot of time and effort into it, it can be very, very debilitating and make one feel a bit depressed. And because I'm a widower. Sadly I lost my wife, and I'm on my own. So art is my thing. So when that's not going well, then the rest of the world, it feels like the rest of the world's collapsing around me.
Yeah. And of course, it's unrealistic to expect everything to go well all the time. And sometimes it's through the limitations that we find some new inspiration.
I mean, all the great artists that we know and revere, you know, we only see their good work. We never ever see their bad work. And no one can convince me they don't have some.
Well, I was looking at a program on Vermeer, and apparently he only left about 37 paintings, or he only did 40 something, and we're only left with about 37, and he didn't do very much at all. So it makes everybody feel better.
Yes, exactly. We all have good ones and bad ones. When they're good, they really feel good.
Very good. Yeah. Well, your work is beautiful.
Thank you.
It's memorable. I think some pieces jump to your mind straight away that were on the exhibition. And I'd like to see some more of your work in future. Yes. So how can people get hold of you? If someone's seen what you're doing today and wants to talk to you, or wants to learn from you, or perhaps wants to buy from you or commission you, how would they contact you? What's the best way?
Well, coincidentally, my family have been nagging me about this aspect of it. But my family have been nagging me. So what I've done is I've only this past weekend set up a Facebook page for my art, which you can find it on Barrington Page on Facebook.
Okay. Well, I'll put the details in the comments of this, the description of this video, this interview. So there'll be a way that people can contact you. And of course, anybody can always come through me. if
Sure.
they can't find you, so that's fine.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting, and I think it's so thrilling for me because I believe in rejuvenation and the third stage of life being the most interesting. Some research has said that we're more prolific and achieve more, produce more productive in our later years, past 55, 60. And so we're raring to go.
Absolutely. Bring it on.
Yeah, there's so much more to do and achieve. So that's wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing your work with us then, please, Barry. That was really, really lovely to see and quite inspiring. I like the ones with the black background, and they made the colours pop. And also, thank you everyone for listening and to meeting Barry, because some of the artists at this particular exhibition have inspired me. So I'm hoping that Barry and some of the others have inspired you too. So I'll say goodbye for now then. Thank you very much then, Barry.
Thank you. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.